Welcome back to another episode of the DMI podcast. This is now episode 4. And today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into the moment people realize they need a plan. So we're back with the man himself, Jeremy Dodd. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's raining outside, and in West Texas, that's always a good day when you wake up with rain.
So the moment people realize they need a plan, I'm sure that you see people walk in all the time from all different ages, all different steps of life. What would you consider the wake up moments of like, hey, I need a plan now?
Yeah, we're sitting in a world of like massive, first of all, information flow. I mean, just trying to go to Netflix and figure out which thing to watch. It's almost like you get decision fatigue just on that. And that's assuming you even decided that Netflix was the streaming service that you wanted to watch. So I think there's a lot of a lot of layering with this. There's, mental health, maybe stress, cognitive depletion that kind of hits you. The time of day that you want to make a decision kind of hits you. But the wake up moment really usually centers around some life events. And I
Mm.
have to tell one story, and I won't try to hopefully I'll keep it secret from the people that this happened to, because they're so kind. But these folks came into me this past week. He is ready to retire. She is still working. That's fantastic. So, what are the issues that we need to face? Obviously, we've got to deal with some health insurance issues because, she's losing coverage with his job. That was a first line issue. The second line issue we uncovered by following the process of looking at what's coming in, what's going out, what's owned and what's owed. And when
Mhm.
we did that, we found something fascinating. Number one, we learned that if he has a pension, but
Mhm.
if he dies, he made a choice a long time ago in his pension that if he dies, then that income completely stops. She gets nothing after that. I
Oh,
felt
wow.
like that was a huge problem. And you know what? They did too.
Yeah.
So then we began to look around and we said, okay, well, what else do we have to replace that income stream?
Mhm.
And so we looked at her 401k. So, I said, well, why don't you pull it up? Let's find out some facts about it. First of
Yeah.
all, how much are you putting in? Well, she's putting in so much percentage, of her paycheck every year. That's great. Good job. The next thing we looked at was, what is the company helping you with? This is a big company. They should
Mhm.
have some matching. It's assumed that there would be some matching, and there was a match amount that was supposed to be there, and it happened to be equal to the amount she was putting in.
Mhm.
The crazy part was we couldn't find a match anywhere. So
Oh, no.
for many years, she's been working for this company. We don't really know where the money is. So this was a really huge point where they woke up, decided this is the day that we need to figure out how to retire. And then through the process, because we visited, because we had a good time to sit down and visit and uncover some facts in
Yeah.
just a very short time, we uncovered a massive hole. We don't know all the facts in every situation, but at least we can point to where there could be some problems.
Yeah, and, you know, what just hit me while you were telling that story is 3 or 4 of those things you said ended up being what we've talked about in previous episodes. So you've talked about your in and out, figuring out, okay, what's bringing in our money, and then you've also brought up just looking at your accounts. I think that was one of the first episodes you're like, "The first thing we can do today is just look at our account," because if you don't look at it, you don't know what's going on inside it. And I think that kind of leads into the next question of how a small proactive plan could have made the outcome completely different. Even now that they came and asked you those questions, their outcome is going to be completely different if he chose to retire today and then they looked at that account or then they made those decisions. So like how can something small affect somebody's life in a big way that you've seen?
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Because if you roll back the clock, let's just say 20 years backwards. So
Hmm.
things could have been had a very different outcome at that particular point. And when we're in the middle of the stream of life, there's a ton of things going on. It's kids, it's family, it's dealing with debt. Maybe it's dealing with the health of parents or other situations that are just honestly very hard to handle. But a
Yeah.
short visit yields out great results because you can sit there and in just a few minutes map it all out. Like we just talked about, like you mentioned, the four squares.
Yeah.
Fold the sheet of paper in four squares. We can map all those things out in really just 5 minutes if we have that little bit of a time. If we need more, we can. But we can get there and look at those details. That would have solved a huge, you know, well, I don't want to say how big this problem is going to be, but it could be well into the six figures. And this could have been solved just by taking a simple look back in time. One of the tools that I think is powerful here is to use the imagination. The
Hmm.
imagination, kind of put myself in a mental time machine. Think
Yeah.
about what life might be like in a future point. Let's give it 5 years. It's really hard to imagine the next, hour, but um, 5 years away seems eternal. 10 years, 20 years. Where do I
Hmm.
think maybe I want to be? What would my numbers potentially look like?
Yeah.
Certified financial planners can help, put you in the time machine for just a few minutes. And we try to
Yeah.
have a little fun doing it, but it's powerful.
Is there one thing that you could say that DMI does that helps clients take control before life surprises them? So like something that stands out that you're kind of proactive about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a lot of shoppers from different angles. You're doing a great job helping us, find new people too, and you're that's been amazing. But in these new conversations that we get into, it's usually I have the conversation might go like, well, I started with this. I went online. I used this other agent that was really just focused on one thing, or
Hmm.
maybe a somebody that in the investment space that really was just focused on managing money. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not the big picture. And so when we're looking at this from a larger scope of what are my risks and what kind of risks are there that I should be looking at, in just a few minutes, my team is able to put together a whole different process about what really could fit and how to do that efficiently. We don't need to spend
Hmm.
all the dollars. We really want to save some.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Jeremy. Thank you again. This has been another great episode. Don't wait for the wake up call. Book a review right down below. Let's talk about where you are, where you want to be. Let's make your whiteboard. Thank you so much for listening.